So, John, thanks for coming on to agree to do this short introduction to the new logo that you've designed. I'd like to make a disclosure right at the start that John is my son-in-law and is currently in the front study room of the church manse where we live, currently with my daughter and your two gorgeous babies, right, twins,
Hmm.
Alfie and Evie, who've just left the house. So we know that the house is going to be quiet for a while.
Yeah.
So we that's great. So we have a few minutes now to just discuss the church logo, just to help folk understand really some of your logic, your rationale, your design reasoning behind what you've chosen. But first, I have to say, John, you are wearing a most gorgeous England football shirt. As a proud Canadian, you must have been gutted that Canada didn't qualify for the Euros.
Yeah, I
That,
know it's been 100 years running or something like that.
that was the joke I told you about. I know it's not what you did. I know. So, John, why don't we just dive straight in with well, let me just say that we had two other logos, and by church voting process, lots of discussion. As you know, it took quite a long time. We voted down two of the designs, and that was with some regret for a few people too. And the logo that we've now adopted as the church, as Taunton Baptist Church, is the one that you're going to talk us through. So do you want to put it up
Yeah,
on the screen and maybe just start talking about some of your logic, your rationale, and why we've got this one?
sure. Yeah. So, if you can you see my screen now?
Yep, got it.
Okay, great. So this is the logo that I designed, one of the three logos that I designed, as you mentioned, and this one was chosen by the church uh, body as the logo that they thought best represented Taunton Baptist Church and their mission and vision going forward. So this logo, I tried to create something a bit different with this one. The other two logos I designed were a bit more traditional church logos, I think. This one I wanted to be wanted to just give it a third option, something different. So I went with a bit bolder color palette and a bold shape that's just a circle. The inspiration behind this logo was I did some research in my design process on Taunton because I'm a new Tauntonian, I guess, Tauntonite. I've been here since October, so I don't know much about Taunton. So I did some research into it and its history. Read a couple short passages of books that you have actually, Richard, on the history of the Baptist Church in Taunton as well, which was very interesting. Learning about the Baptist movement in the Southwest. But what I also found was that Taunton as a town was the first town in the UK to permanently switch to electric streetlights, and that was I think Guildford was the first one to do it, but then they couldn't do it long term, so they switched back to gas lights and then back to electrical later. Whereas Taunton, once they made the switch, it was permanent. So that was there's a plaque I think also in the center of town about this fact. So that was an interesting
Whereabouts is
fact.
that plaque, John?
I think it's by the roundabout in the town center
All right, right.
near, yeah, yeah. Um, so I thought the street lamp, it reminded me a bit of G.K. Chesterton. He has a blurb at the beginning of his book, Orthodoxy of the value of light. And so it reminded me of that short story.
Yeah,
And so I thought that could be a good analogy. And I mean, throughout the Bible, light
yeah,
is an image of Christ, of hope, of truth. And so all those things are what Taunton Baptist Church stands for. And so I thought that would be a good symbol to use.
yeah.
So I tried to use make the lamp look a little bit Victorian with some of the flourishes and embellishes on it because that's when they switched. But I tried to make the filament inside the light a cross instead of just a normal filament. Hopefully that comes across as a filament for those who are seeing it for the first time. But I wanted, yeah, the logo to essentially show light radiating out of a lamp post, which would represent the church, and it's the life of the church radiating out into the community, into the lives of those that we interact with, into those who walk by the church, into those that know us. and so that was the inspiration with the layers coming out of the light as well. And I think the color scheme I chose, I wanted to use something that had good contrast, to show the contrast between light and darkness. And orange and blue are, I believe, they're on opposite sides of the color wheel. So as a designer, that's something you think about, the relationships of the colors. And so that's a common combination of contrast, orange and blue. And so and I like the colors. I think they work well together. The blue's obviously darker to represent night or darkness, and then the orange kind of pops off of that, which really highlights the light, I guess. Yeah, I wanted to use the round shape. I think I mentioned before, just as it's a bolder shape. I think you can use it as a decal, or as a sticker or a badge, and it'd be quite prominent and iconic, I think. And yeah, so this is the logo, and it's it as a what am I trying to say? This is the primary version of the logo.
Yeah.
And then you've got some secondary options where you could reverse it if you needed to be used on a lighter background. I've provided these options to the church, just kind of to show my understanding of how the logo might be used in different situations. This is not the website now, obviously. There's been a new one that's been built by Benjamin, which is much better than this one, actually. But that's how I envisage it possibly being used on a website. What he's done is he's taken the roundness of the logo and he's incorporated that into the design. I think in the header he's using round. There's kind of an oval shape at the top, which is really, really nice, or a rounded ellipse. There's the church. I just wanted to see what it would kind of look like next to the church on banners, on what it might look like on a window.
John, in the business world, this is called branding, isn't it? And I kind of feel a little uneasy about a church using that term, but for the sake of argument, because I don't think there is a better term, it is branding, isn't it? And
yeah, I guess a better term,
you've provided multiple ways in which the logo itself can be adapted and displayed, and we're hoping to make it much more prominent than we would probably normally think, just because of the new website that's coming as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think branding you're right, is very marketing speak, sort of business world speak. Whereas you could say it's more of in church, more visual representation of vision, I guess. I guess you kind of want a visual representation of what you actually see, of the story that you have, the narrative that you have, which as churches, we get that story derives from the Bible, story of the Bible. So you want your story to find itself within the bigger picture of the Bible. And so that's, I think, in Christian church branding, you are always trying to find your place in the story that the Bible lays itself out. Whereas in marketing, you would just be trying to create a story for yourself, for your own brand, for your own company, out of thin air. Just kind of trying to find what your company does and what other people can expect from your company. But I think as a Christians, and as churches, we have that story already, which is nice. We have that structure of the Bible. We just got to find our place within it.
Yeah. It's interesting that you've used light is obviously a very common theme for churches, church names as well. There's living lights in Taunton as well, and right across the country and world, light is obviously dominant. I mean, it's bookended in the Bible as well, isn't it? With God's first command, let there be light.
Yeah, exactly.
And then of course in Revelation, you've got that there will be no need for lamps, because the Lamb will be the lamp, and all of this, and in between, Jesus calling himself the light of the world. So you're right. It's no wonder it's a very common thing. But what's unique about the one that you've done is that this logo is unique to Taunton Baptist Church. And what I love about it, John, is that historical link with the first town to sustain the use of electric lighting in its town.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's
stuff. So just to say, John, there were two other designs, and just for the sake of time, we won't cover those now. But one of those designs, which was the wicker, the church-shaped window, but the wicker design with the cross in the middle, which I love that one as well. In fact, I love the other one too. because they're all so different. They all speak of different things, but we're hoping to still be able to use that particular design in some way in the future as well. So that one's not lost either. But it
Oh,
would
brilliant.
be probably overstretching the point to use three in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So John, is there anything else to add to this? This is great.
Uh, I think, I guess I can only speak a bit about the font. Nothing that interesting. I kind of chose a bold font to match the logo, and I wanted it to be rounded, have a lot of round edges in the word Taunton when you do lowercase, which mirror the roundness of the logo. Yeah. So that's why I chose that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great, John, brilliant job. I'm sure lots of people will appreciate this in the church, and those that are, interested in seeing this sort of stuff on our YouTube channel at the church. But I really appreciate it. The church appreciates your work on this. Thanks so much for coming along today and sharing this with us. And I'll see you for dinner.
Yeah. See you soon.
Cheers, John. Take care.
Okay.